You know, Bill, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it because so many issues, so many themes were presented, and just the whole processing of it all, and trying to formulate, questions that are going to be meaningful and equally as impactful as what you both brilliantly did presented on the screen. Rob, maybe you should start.
Okay, well, first of all, let me just say, I see a ton of films, and it's been a long, long time since I've seen anything that had the impact this had on me. So,
thank you very much.
It's just phenomenal. I just want to say that. I guess I'll start by asking you, what impact did this have on you in terms of, as you're making it and as you're getting these comments and putting them together? What was your response to some of the things that you were being told or you were seeing as you're putting it together?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the festival and everyone who has us here. Thank you for showing us, supporting us. We really appreciate it very much. And Mr. Berry and myself, I had the idea originally, and Mr. Channsin Berry was the co-executive producer and director with me. We both, growing up, were young men, dark-skinned in this nation, faced a number of challenges, and felt that many times we as people need to discuss things we don't talk about, so we wanted to give this issue a voice. And in making it, I discovered my own issues of colorism that I didn't even know existed in me as a human being. And hearing the testimonials of women and men, by no means are we suggesting that we are the purists who have transcended everything and are giving this godly message from our pristine minds. We are also victims of, still, as he said, on the quantum physics level, the energy level that you inherit. We are not free of that yet. And so, Chen, you want to speak on that? Okay. Answer the question.
So really, how do we begin to heal? What do you think is the first step? Obviously, getting on Facebook and Twitter and, using every avenue at your disposal to tell your friends to go out and support this when it is available would be one of the first things. But what are some of the other things that can be done? Because there's so much dysfunction, dealing within the African American community, and I really think this is central. How a person feels about themselves is really central to a lot of the other weight and baggage that we're carrying.
That's true.
I think the first way to start is for women to tell your daughters that they're beautiful.
That's right. That's right.
He asked, what about the fathers? I do agree with that. I do. It's a whole family thing that needs to come together. The unit of the family needs to be intact. I'm sorry, I talked.
Yeah.
The family needs to be a part of the whole healing situation. But it seems to me, through the research and the interviews we've done with thousands of women, through the documentaries we've done throughout the years, it starts with mother. When mother doesn't say anything to the daughter about how beautiful is, and how intelligent she is, and that she's good the way God made her. If she doesn't, if they don't hear that, there's always going to be an issue.
That's right. You're right.
And this is why we are the way we are right now. And there's Daddy. Daddy plays a big part in this whole situation. Because if Daddy plays a major part in it, then she will go out with self-esteem built up and find a good man for herself.
Sure.
Are you, anything that was too controversial or?
There are many, many things. This is a documentary, 70, 75 minutes. That's long, and we had a lot of things that I'll tell you one thing that sticks out in my mind, that unfortunately, this that you saw is all based upon our producing it, our dollars, etc. So we did the best we could for what we had. And you can ask my accountant. But the thing is that there was a woman from Poughkeepsie, New York, where I'm from. And she is, I would say, late 30s, early 40s. And we asked her what was the most painful or difficult part about this topic that she could express on film. But unfortunately, the footage that she was on, the sound was really bad. And so we couldn't use it, but I want to tell this story about her because we really think it's important. She said, well, I've never ridden in the passenger seat of a man's car. And so we said, well, what does that mean? She said, well, you know, when I've dated or gone out with a man, and until this day, she said, you know, he would come to my house or apartment, or I would go to his house or apartment, or we went out, I would drive. But I have never ridden in the passenger seat of a man's car. And she said that her self-esteem has allowed her to be treated in that way.
One of the other things we left out is that we have interviews with women from Asia, Chinese women and Japanese women, and some women from the continent of Africa who spoke about skin bleaching. Because the same thing happens in their culture also. Dark is dark all over the place.
That's true.
And one thing that I've learned from this, and Bill also talks about this, is that we found out pain is pain.
Yes.
If you're light skinned, if you're dark skinned, if you're brown skinned, pain is pain.
That's right.
But in the age of Naomi Campbell, Michelle Obama, Condoleezza Rice, and so on, is color still valid? Is that still a valid, that this color line that automatically denotes inferiority, ugliness, all of the unattractive, negative things? How could that be so when you have so many examples that you know, represent a different story?
We have some examples that represent a different story. But as you saw, the young man who stood up, he said, I just would never date a dark-skinned woman. She didn't look right on my arm. And I think that is due to, one, as Chan said, parenting, but also, and I'm not blaming them totally, but media is a very powerful tool. And there are two elements of media. One is the sin of commission. And the sin of commission is when I say to you, you're ugly, stupid, dark, you know, you're the bad guy, you're the maid, you're the whatever, you know. That's the sin of, I'm committing to a statement that my feeling about you is X. The other is the sin of omission. Whenever there's a holistic, wonderful, beautiful, healing experience or a hero, you're not there. And now when a child sees that, you're not saying to a child that you're ugly or stupid, but when a child does not exist in a formula of success or anything,
Yes.
it's as insidious a commitment to a statement as commission.
That's right. That's true. That's true.
Okay, I just have a couple more questions, and then I guess we'll throw it out to the audience. But I'm curious, how much impact do you think class has in this process from what you've seen in your putting the film together? By class, I mean money, not you know, classy people necessarily.
Well, I think in our own minds, sometimes, and I'm going to use the N-word, but don't take it personally. Kanye, I think it's Kanye West, in his my favorite album of his, It All Falls Down, and he has a tune, and the lyric goes like this. He said, "Oh, oh, oh, black folks, how low we'll stoop for oh, 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 black folks, how low for the dollar we'll stoop." But when you ride in your Benz, you're still a nigga in the coupe.
That's right. That's right.
And I think in our minds, there is a class distinction internally. But a friend of mine, Carl Gilliard, who's a pretty well-off gentleman, he was getting his car in front of the Beverly Hills Hotel, and he was standing outside. His wife had to go to the bathroom. And he stood outside, and a lady drove up and handed him her keys. So what I'm saying is, we have these class distinctions. But I think in the eyes of others, maybe there is not a great class distinction as we may perceive.
So what's the next step? When will we see this film? What can we do, and more importantly, to help you find a platform for this project?
We need your support. The media is, new media, the internet, Twitter, Facebook, whoever you can just tonight when you go home, or you gentlemen are very powerful through your program, etc. Because we're not sure, but Hollywood may not want to send this message out. But if they do not, and we're not saying they're not yet, but if they don't, this message should still get out there. And thank God for the internet. Thank God for gentlemen like you who have the ability to say it exists. And for every one of you who emails or chats or tweets or puts it on your Facebook, for distributors, those are called eyeballs. And that's the only thing that's valued, is eyeballs. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
So we beg for your support. We really do.
What about the deep? Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Oh, it's just me.
Where we go next was the question, right? Yes. We're going to go on tour. We're going to do what we did tonight around the country and around the world.
Okay, I was just going to ask, what about the DVD market and on demand and all of that other type of thing? Do you plan to do that as well?
Well, unfortunately, the DVD market is dead, dying. Blockbusters closed down to a certain extent, and other places,
Our VOD market.
Yeah. We're thinking about VOD, Netflix, and other entities. We really need as much financial, to be honest with you, financial support. Because if we could go to a place like Target, or like, my big hero is Prince. Prince is one of the greatest businessmen, in my opinion, that ever existed.
He really is.
He's with Target, he said, guess what, I got some DVDs. You buy them from me for this price, I don't care what you sell them for.
Yes.
So if we can, get that kind of leverage, that's going to be helpful too. We think this is a message that's important to get out there. And so we're not saying we're the geniuses that know all the answers, but we are not going to stop until we get it out there.
That's right.
Now, Bill, why do you continue to do this? The last film we were, Ron and I were talking about, dealt with sexuality and violence in our community, a distinct issue this community is facing. Now, with this project, it's something that's also equally as socially relevant and important. When you could easily, opt to do stuff that one of our brothers a little bit down the road in Atlanta is doing. Why do you opt to look at, these serious issues, substantive projects rather than sell out?
My honest feeling is that, and I think Chan feels this way also, no one's coming to save us. And that if you really look statistically at what's happening to us in the world and in this nation. Let me give you a few interesting statistics. In the state of California, in terms of high school, 48 to 50% of our children are dropping out of high school before they graduate. In the face of a global economy, where they're competing globally, what is the future of a child that drops out of high school before they graduate in the context of a global economy?
And 51% of those are black men, black boys.
1 out of 6 black men in Washington, D.C., our capital, is HIV positive. Out of all the women in this country that are HIV positive, 70% are black women.
Yes.
I mean, I could go on and on and on. But my point is that if these issues are not addressed, and we're two black men, we're not wealthy or anything, but we do care about our community. We do not have amnesia. That's the black man's amnesia. We care about our women, we care about our community, and we feel there's a responsibility that we have to put messages out and that could be healing. And that's all we can do, that's all we can do.